And welcome into the Tuesday edition, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. Joe, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Very entertained by Houston, Tampa Bay last night. Didn't really see Chargers, Raiders, but Raiders, maybe we need to pump the brakes on the Raiders based on just the results that I'm seeing.
Well,
what little I saw of it. Geno,
they got Brady in the box. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, then you got Tom Brady in the box, and I just have to wonder, why are other NFL owners not completely going nuts about this right now?
I don't know. They're not, though.
I mean, maybe they're behind the scenes. I'd like to hear, would this not be a perfect thing for Jerry Jones just pop off about?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's the other conference, but still. Somebody. Who in the AFC would be the most, annoyingly out there owner? There just aren't that many,
Probably the Jets guy.
Woody?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Get some Johnson & Johnson on this thing, man. Let's go.
Let's get Tom out of the press box, please.
Give him
the
some
headset off.
Give him some Q-tips and get the hell out of the press box.
I did. That's the first thing. I woke up this morning and checked the score because I did not stay up to watch the Chargers and the Raiders last night. And the first thing I saw on Twitter was the picture of Brady in the box with the coaches with the headset on.
Yeah.
What's going on up here?
He's just,
what's he doing?
He's just hanging around. But hey, Ian goes 5-1 with his lock and freaking Pigskin pick him. So about time for Ian to move to Vegas.
I say you might on Fridays need to start listening to at 8:30 to Ian Safar and the picks that he makes. Ian, you're a ringer out there, man.
Good morning.
What's going on?
Oh, thank you guys. Hey, you get lucky sometimes. I got got the under on this one, but I missed the over in the first Monday Night Football game. So
you missed one.
I split.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Split them here. The over unders. First time going with that. So maybe we'll keep it going here and there.
Yeah, whatever you're doing, I'd probably
keep
it going. Right, keep it going.
Yeah.
But
advice.
Doing great this morning, guys.
Good.
Hope everybody's doing well.
Can't wait for your 0-6 week. It's coming.
Yeah.
It will come. Yes, I'm not going to deny that. Yeah.
We got a lot to get into on the show today. Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News Sentinel will be with us at 6:45. We will get into the Tennessee Vols with him, plus some interesting injury updates from Josh Heupel yesterday that we'll sort through with Adam as well. Gentry Estus from the Tennessean will be with us at 8. We'll get into a lot of things with him. Of course, the Titans, Vanderbilt, their shot at, potentially sneaking in there as a dark horse college football playoff team, or at least contender as the season goes on. Get his thoughts on all that coming up in the 8 o'clock hour as well. And, of course, the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode later in the program as well. Joe, we begin on college football today, and we'll get to our favorite coach's attempt at an apology here in a few minutes. But it's been pretty wild to this point in college football from a couple of different standpoints. I mean, it's not like there's been some huge run of upsets out there, but we've gotten some, and some teams that people thought were going to be maybe contenders for a national title heading into the year have not lived up to that to this point. Look no further than Clemson, who is 1-2 on the season, hasn't looked good, save for maybe the first half against LSU, really at any point this year. Even their non-conference game, the week after the LSU game, they struggled for about a half in that game, and then they come out and lose last week to Georgia Tech. So they're not looking very good. The quarterback part of this is really fascinating. I mean, you go back and look at a preseason list of quarterbacks and who's going to win the Heisman Trophy. And, of course, it started with Arch Manning, and he's looked awful so far. Cade Klubnik has looked not very good so far. DJ Lagway at Florida has been horrific to this point in the season. So a lot of what we thought we knew heading into the college football season, Joe, we did not know, and it's not played out that way. What have you made of what we've seen to this point?
No, it really is. And David Ubben brought my attention to this because he wrote about this yesterday, and I guess I hadn't thought about the entire picture, but it really is already just wild. Like you said, you mentioned Clemson and you got Notre Dame. I mean, those two teams. And I'm looking at the athletic staff votes for national champion. Texas led the way with 12. They don't look like a national champion to me. They don't look like – I mean, they don't look like a playoff team to me. We'll see. But, like, if they play the way that they have consistently played, they're going to lose, like, 4 games. Clemson, like you said, 0-2, they don't have an FBS win. Notre Dame got votes. They're 0-2. Now, Notre Dame, at Miami. Texas A&M at home. Those are good games, but who had them 0-2? I didn't have them 0-2. Other teams that have votes, LSU and Penn State, they're still alive. I'd pick Penn State, but if you've watched Penn State, their quarterback. It seems like the theme is quarterbacks who were supposed to be something, and they are not at all that. Texas, favored to win the national championship. Their quarterback does not look like a starting college quarterback right now. His name is Arch Manning. That's the best thing you could say about him right now as a quarterback. And again, I'm not saying he's confined to that. It'll never change, but it's bad.
It's awful right now.
Like 10 straight incompletions, one of them a pick against a team like they played last week and you watch it, it's bad. Cade Klubnik doesn't look like an NFL number 1 overall pick. No. Nussmeier is not playing as well as he's supposed to be. Drew Allard not playing as well as he's supposed to be. Penn State fans are pissed about Bo Prabula. They want Bo Prabula back from Missouri. And on and on. And then you have the on the flip side of that, okay, how about Miami? I mean, they look like a national championship contender to me. Who had Miami as a national championship contender? Other than hopeful U fans. Carson Beck, and this is a great lesson on all the quarterback stuff. Oh, maybe he is a top 10 quarterback now. After last year, he's the number 1 pick, and then he's a non-pick, and now, he actually is really good. I mean, that team in particular stands out. I think Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee, not sitting here saying right now that they are, a national championship level team, but like they're, to me, much better than I expected them to be. I didn't expect Oregon to be as dominant as they've looked. With Dante Moore, he's just struggled, but they look really good. And obviously Florida State just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And what they've done. Oh, and by the way, Alabama getting crushed by Florida State. I mean, these are just things that off the top of my head, there's other stuff that's happened, but of course, Vanderbilt. We have 2 teams right now that, and of course, we're going to talk about them later in the show, but that are part of this. Like, holy cow, this has been a wild start.
It has. Now we'll see. People are talking a lot about parity right now. We'll see. What does it look like by the time the college football playoff comes around and when the college football playoff gets going? Now, I think in the regular season, you are seeing a little bit more than that, right? It's one of the things I do like about the transfer portal, and it's not a long list of things I like, but one of the things I do like is, like, if you're a coach, particularly at a higher profile program that's got some money to it, you don't have to be bad for very long. You really don't. Like, you can, your roster can flip dramatically from one year to the next. And I think we're seeing that to the positive and to the negative in college football, and it's leading to some very interesting results. Another thing that I think this year is also showing me, if you can find a way to land a quarterback that's got a lot of experience at the college level, that is a very good thing. It's a very good thing. And I think Tennessee is seeing that firsthand right now. Obviously, Vanderbilt is seeing that firsthand with Diego Pavia. Like, even Oklahoma, right? Like, Oklahoma, they had Jackson Arnold, this 5-star recruit last year, and hopes were high heading into the SEC, and they just look bad on offense throughout the year. And they bring in Mateer this year, and they look good. Like, Oklahoma's a good team. Like, it's, they're number 11 in the country right now. Yeah, number 11. And I think that they're going to have a really good year. So I just think if you can find that experienced quarterback via the portal, whatever, however you get them, it's a big thing in today's college football.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Like Tennessee. Utah also, Dampier is a guy they got who, Indiana got he's hilarious, by the way. You seen this kid's interviews? No. Yeah, look up some of the. He had this interview post game. I mean, it's like he was like, and then on this pass, I threw. It's just, my God, what the heck is his name? He was at Cal last year, and he's good. And obviously, they did that last year with Curtis Rourke from Ohio. So
Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, he's hilarious. Yeah, Prabula from Missouri, of course. You know, it's interesting too because Auburn goes to Oklahoma this week, so it's like, you know, in the long run, if Jackson Arnold turns out to be amazing and you had this 1 year of Mateer and then you have to keep getting on that kind of rotation, I mean, you know, that you could make the case for sticking with someone, but I mean, this is how it kind of goes, you know. It's just
Venables needed a year.
Venables, yes, exactly. He needed, and look, a huge part of also with them is, yes, Mateer for sure, but also Arbuckle, the OC, who, by the way, now there's all this talk that Oklahoma State might try to steal him as the head coach if and when they fire the mullet. So, which still hasn't happened yet. But yeah, it's an interesting. It's do you get on the, you know, like homegrown quarterbacks? Ohio State has it, Penn State, LSU, Georgia, Texas, Illinois, like a lot of these teams in the top 10. And by the way, we haven't talked about Marcel Reed, but he should be on anyone's Heisman list right now at Texas A&M. So there are a lot of homegrown quarterback successes, but there's also a lot of, you know, a lot of these transfers that are making a huge deal. And if you can get one, you know, it can be a huge difference maker for you.
I just think, you know, look at Georgia Tech. Haynes King, he feels like he's been in college since, you know, Casey Clausen was playing quarterback for Tennessee. But he comes in and, you know, I don't know that Haynes King is like a high-level NFL quarterback when his college days are done. But what he does really well. And the Georgia Tech team, big win against Clemson last week. Again, I don't know how good Clemson is, but it's a big win for Georgia Tech. They're 3-0, and the way that they run their system is really fun to watch. So, like, you know, Haynes King's 24. Joey Aguilar's 24. Like, they getting these older quarterbacks running around. Like, it's, if you can get them, it's a big deal for your team.
Yeah, when you can, and now you get the, you know, Pavia wins his thing, so now the JUCO stuff doesn't count. So you got to. I mean, Joey Aguilar again. It's like it's almost a cliche. I mean, you know, around here we got Cam Ward, and with him, it's like, I mean, he was just not going to play. He was at this community college. He was the backup at this community college. Like, yeah, I guess I'll keep trying to play. And then sometimes you get to 21, 22, you played for years, you keep getting stronger in the weight room, and it's like, oh,
he's pretty good.
That dude can play. And, of course, obviously, that's just not even on the table in the past. And to your point on parity, I agree. Like, let's see, right? Like, you know, I mean, I have no idea if that's how it's going to turn out. We may end up having couple teams that are just dominant. Like I'm looking at Oregon. I want to see them in more games. I mean, Ohio State. But at this point, I feel like you go through the top, you know, 15, 20 teams. I feel like there's a lot of matchups that could be good games, and not one team right now that's like, oh, you're just not touching them. Not Alabama of some years, Georgia, Ohio State of some years.
Well,
we'll see.
Got to give a lot of credit to Iowa State navigating the schedule they've got. They got Arizona this week, and the big one there. You know, they're taking down South Dakota. And,
I thought they were messing around this week with somebody for a
Butch?
quick minute.
They were playing Butch.
Oh, that's right.
Butch played him tough.
You got Butch. I mean, when Butch comes walking in, we know that's not an easy game.
That's
so, I mean,
right.
They've navigated it to a 4-0 record.
Hey,
so,
I thought 1 second
you say there's no dominant team. I'm here to tell you.
Yeah.
Iowa State.
I was worried for a minute there.
That's a fair point.
But they pulled it out.
Watch out for the Cyclones. My goodness, are they? It's just on an absolute.
I talked a lot of trash about Iowa State football this year.
Well, that was a good rant. I mean, that was one of those things that's like, hey, let's not let this go, man. This guy.
I'm never gonna let it go.
This guy really said this out loud.
Yeah, I'm never gonna let it go. Each week, I on purpose, I'm like, let's go check out Iowa State. See how they're handling this schedule. 615-737-1025, our phone number. An apology yesterday from one of our favorite people in college football. We'll get back into that. Take your thoughts on college football. 615-737-1025. Plus, are there a couple quarterbacks around here that may mosey their way into the Heisman Trophy discussion? We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, The Game. Later today on ESPN 94.9 The Fan, the Nashville Sounds taking on Louisville. First pitch at 5:35. Coverage also available on the Game Nashville app and at thegamenashville.com. Sounds baseball on ESPN 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks and Family Leisure. Robby and Rexrode talking some college ball. Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News Sentinel will be with us at 6:45. We will get his thoughts on all things Tennessee. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. So, Joe, for your Rex rant yesterday, we heard a nice blow up from our good friend Brian Kelly, LSU Tigers football coach, over the weekend at a reporter that said, and I quote after the game, Brian, what'd you think about your offense? How dare you ask that question? How could you ask a question like that? We just won the game. Like, Brian, all I asked you about was what you thought about the offense there, Bubba. So that made news, made the rounds over the weekend. And Brian Kelly, before he started this press conference yesterday, thought it appropriate to give a kind of sort of apology to said reporter. Here's what Brian Kelly had to say.
Yeah, and I guess that's the whole point, Paul. It's a mindset, right? You've just played an emotional game. You're coming in to questions, and the first one that you're dealing with is, what's wrong with your offensive line, and so look, I needed to do a better job of handling that question. That's on me. I've got to be better moving forward. Michael Cobble is an outstanding reporter. I apologize to him, but the mindset has got to be more about, where are we right now? We just beat an SEC opponent in an emotional game and had 5 interceptions and one of our best defensive performances. So I just think it's a little bit of everybody, right? And it starts with me. I've got to be better, as I said, but I think we all have to understand what the mindset needs to be in a post-game press conference.
So that was Brian Kelly. I think it was that on Feinbaum? I think that was.
What does that need? What does it need to be, Brian?
Cheery, sunshiny.
Coach, you look very good tonight.
I've got some gumbo for you.
What a tremendous win.
Sounds like you want somebody in that press conference. Somebody specifically in that press conference after the game.
A lot of people are saying we should send PK down there. That could be a great job for PK.
It really could.
Just be reporter for hire. Yeah. Like press conference questioner for hire. And just send him all. Hey, how about little Gundy? Go stick the knife in there at Stillwater for a little bit.
Forget press conference guy like merchant for hire. Make him like the LSU beat writer. Him around all those people all the time. The Cajuns are out there tailgating. Got the Gator in the parking lot. Like he would be right at home out there. Well, he'd love it.
That would be good too. That would be good. But yeah, like I'm trying to think. Just like to throw him out to Jim Harbaugh. Just to see what Harbaugh would like, how he would deal with it. Like there's a lot of possibilities here.
You ever talk to your team about cheating, Jim?
Just don't send him to the Yankees because then he'll probably totally melt down and start crying, screaming.
Aaron, you guys suck. We may be onto something here. Let's just get him around like a national guy. Get PK into different situations here.
Just different sports. Get just a universal press pass. Yeah. Just be like the nation's, because everybody, that's what happens. I heard it as a beat writer for a long time. That's what it's like. Ask the tough questions. It's like, so you just want like, when are you going to fire yourself? It's like people always want the tough questions asked.
Some Titans fans that may want that question asked right now.
Yes.
Excuse me. When exactly are you going to be out of here?
Yeah. Can you leave, please? I guess it's good that Brian, I guess.
Well, my favorite part is like,
good.
Look, I don't want to get on it too hard because he had that. He had a press conference yesterday where he basically did the same thing where he started off with an apology, but then he like wove his way through an answer that was like, I don't think he really wants to apologize. I think he's just mad because people are pissed off at him of his reaction, but I don't think he really feels sorry about this.
Yes, a lot of people on this and including like in comments, because I wrote a little thing on this on my message board thing this week, but because there was this total argument back and forth in the message board, which is always a great indication of if a fan base is totally behind a coach. If they're totally happy with the coach, they're like, yeah, take his access away, right? And if the coach is getting in fights and he's like an embattled coach, and usually it's like, how dare he talk to the media like that?
Yeah.
It's very, very split, like very big time arguing amongst LSU fans about this, which is probably has something to do with, I mean, coming into the year, there's a lot of like, dude, Brian Kelly, let's go. And of course, are you ever going to have a good defense? And now it's funny because now their defense is really good and their offense is struggling. But again, like when he says right there in Feinbaum, we need to have have the right mindset. The mindset should be to ask questions about your offense. And you know what? There'll be questions about your defense and the things that were good. I promise you in that press conference, whether he melted down or not, all those questions were asked, good and bad. But like being the first in order, it happens to
what
be
difference does it make? Yeah.
What is that? Like, I need you to fluff me for a little bit first.
Yeah.
Then ask me a real
question 5 or 6, we can get in there.
Yeah. Which again, the fact that there's some seasoned media people who actually buy into that bothers me, but I've already ranted about it, so I guess I'll just leave it alone.
So coming up next, we're going to get into a conversation about some pretty good quarterback play here from the college teams we've seen so far. So good, in fact, that Joe is wondering, could this be something that we monitor all year long for a certain postseason award? We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News Sentinel will be with us here in about 15 minutes. We'll get his thoughts on the Tennessee-Georgia game, his thoughts on where Tennessee goes from here in the aftermath of that loss. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Joe, as we mentioned, it is very early in the college football season. We are 3 weeks into it, so there's still a whole lot of information left to gather and a whole lot of big games left to be played this year. However, to this point, a couple of teams around here have been pretty good. Vanderbilt 3-0. They get a huge win at South Carolina over the weekend, as we discussed yesterday. Tennessee loses a classic to Georgia, and they've got to be feeling pretty good about their squad moving forward when you look at the rest of that schedule here. So we'll see how they handle that and what they do. Joey Aguilar, Diego Pavia, the quarterbacks for those teams, have been very good to this point. It's week 4 of the college football season coming up. So in some ways, you look at a Heisman conversation, you're like, well, where do you even start when it's this early in the year? However, I don't know that anybody has jumped out there and is just running away with it. Only people, before the season, who's going to win the Heisman? Well, it's Arch Manning. He's definitely going to win the Heisman, right?
Number 1 pick.
Arch Manning's going to win the Heisman.
Duh.
And if it's not him, it's going to be, Kay Klubnik. He'll win the Heisman. Oh, well, maybe DJ Lagway will step up, win the Heisman. Oh, okay. Well, we'll see. I think there's a lot of people right now, Joe, that you can put in the very early Heisman Trophy conversation. A lot.
Huge. It's a huge pool right now. No doubt.
I don't think you can have that pool right now without Diego Pavia and Joey Aguilar to this point, based on what they've done. So what do you make of those two, the start that they're off to, and how they factor into that discussion, both now and as the season moves along here?
Joey Aguilar would be the leader had a kicker made a 43-yard field goal Saturday.
Yeah.
In my mind, I believe that. You could make the case. You mentioned Mateer earlier. I think Castellanos so far for Florida State has done some ridiculous stuff. And those two come to mind right now. But Aguilar with the numbers, if you actually stopped the season and they beat Georgia, and he certainly is in New York. And look, Pavia right now, unlike some of these guys, really, Castellanos for sure. And then Dampier and some of these guys, he has the momentum from last season too. Yep. Which at some point that doesn't matter because obviously, like you just said, you just listed some guys who were at the top of all the speculative lists going in the season, and now they're nowhere to be found. But Pavia certainly is in there, right there. We haven't started doing the staff stuff at the Athletic. I assume that probably starts next week. You usually give it a few weeks and then start doing that. On3 did their staff poll. So, and this stuns me that Aguilar is not on this. I understand they just lost that game. So, again, if you end the season now and you've lost 33% of your games, okay. But if you watch that game at all, he was tremendous. Certainly wasn't on him that they lost. They got in order: Mateer, Castellanos, Carson Beck, Marcel Reed, and definitely what Reed did at Notre Dame. Put him on the board.
Yeah.
Pavia 5th. Then Dampier from Utah, who, if you haven't watched him play, he is, Utah, Texas Tech this week. That's the game that I'm absolutely jacked for. That's going to be fun. Dante Moore of Oregon. He was at UCLA. So to the point of all the Nico stuff and everything, Dante Moore's at UCLA looks like complete dog food. He goes to Oregon and all of a sudden he's a Heisman, and he does. He looks fantastic. And it kind of matters to be able to have people block, catch, run, play defense, coach, fans show up. The Rose Bowl has 10,000 people. It's so depressing. Ruben Bain of Miami, Caleb Downsville has it. Now we're getting into non-quarterbacks. And then Jaron Cui Sagapolatele, I think I said that right, or somewhere close to it, the Cal freshman, who is freaking good. If anybody hasn't seen the Cal freshman play, go look it up. He is like Tua. He's the next Tua. And he is I think from the same town too, by the way. But it's uncanny. He is so good. So there you go. That's their top 10. to me, Aguilar should be. I mean, I'd put Aguilar like right after Pavia. I don't have a problem with their top 5. I'd put Aguilar right after that, and Pavia, Aguilar like 5-6 right now.
I have the betting odds for the 2025 Heisman Trophy winner.
Okay,
Joey Aguilar is 8th on the list at the moment. Pavia is way down. He is way down. He's probably doing a rough guess somewhere around 20th on the list at plus 5,000 odds.
I mean, there's still the presumption that Vanderbilt's got 4 or 5 losses ahead of it, right?
The favorite right now, Carson Beck at Miami at plus 750, according to FanDuel Sportsbook, followed by John Mateer, and then Gunnar Stockton at number 3 from Georgia.
Yeah, and those are look, when you talk about odds, you have to also, like, you're projecting ahead and you're projecting win-loss record.
Sure.
It's a huge part of it. Miami looks loaded. Miami, like, again, South Florida is good. I mean, Florida is a talented football team that just went into LSU, who everybody's saying that's the national champ. I was saying after Clemson. So it's like everything is like, just like with Vanderbilt, it's like, was South Carolina bad? LSU, is Clemson bad? But like they are loaded without question. And so you can easily see my point there. They destroy South Florida. South Florida goes in and wins at Florida. That is a significant win for South Florida. They're still right there as a playoff team, but Miami mopped the field with them. I mean, so Miami might just run away with the ACC, and then Carson Beck, Mateer too, though. Oklahoma, that's going to be interesting. If they go through their schedule and they're like 11-1, 10-2 kind of team with the numbers he's going to put up, dual threat, all that stuff, he's right there. He's up there. I still have my questions about Florida State being as good as they look, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's bottom line is if you're a Tennessee fan or you're a Vanderbilt fan, you're feeling pretty good about your quarterback right now, right? Like, obviously Vanderbilt's feeling good about their quarterback heading into the year, and I think he's better than he was a year ago, right? Like, I think if you watch him, the accuracy is better. I think throwing the ball down the field, it's better. So, like, Pavia, I think, is improved from last year to this year, and their team's better. Like, I think they've got more around him, I think. So I'm really, like I said, they should be 5-0 heading into Alabama, and we're going to be talking a lot about Vanderbilt, Alabama heading into that game. I mean, it's going to be awesome here in a couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to that.
Don't jinx Vanderbilt.
Joey Aguilar has been very good to this point. And he wasn't perfect against Georgia, but I mean, he put up almost 400 yards of passing, threw 4 touchdowns, and the offense scored 41 points against Georgia. So you look at the rest of Tennessee's schedule, there's not a game on there that you don't feel good, at least, about them winning or having a chance to win. Like, yeah, going to Alabama is going to be difficult. And look, there are a couple sneaky ones along the way. Like, Mississippi State is off to a good start. I don't know how good they are, but Tennessee's got them on the road here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, don't sleep on it.
Tennessee has had some road stinkers. You had one last year against Arkansas. You can't have one this year against Mississippi State. You got Arkansas again at home. I don't overly worry about that, but we'll see. But
Talon Green is playing really well.
He's very good. At Alabama, home against Oklahoma, on the road against Florida, and we're going to get into the Vanderbilt-Tennessee matchup at the end of the year because I'll just tease that conversation at 8 o'clock. Is there a chance? How big of a chance could we get to November between Vanderbilt and Tennessee, the last game of the regular season, and that's basically a college football play-in game, a playoff play-in game? Sounds crazy, right? But you look at Vanderbilt, they're pretty good so far, man. Like, they roll off a win against Alabama or a win against Texas, and their schedule could set up to where that game absolutely means that at the end of the year. So I think if you're a Tennessee fan or a Vanderbilt fan right now, you're feeling great about quarterback. And a Tennessee fan specifically, like, you had no idea what it was going to look like heading into this year. And it's pretty clear 3 games in that the offense is operating at a level that it really has not even approached since Hendon Hooker was there in 2022.
Yeah, absolutely. And the numbers are going to be there. And so I agree. Mississippi State's dangerous. Oklahoma is just a totally different looking game. But, being in Knoxville, I mean, that's the thing. It's like one of those games where, boy, by then you sure hope you have, like, your best corners, for example, in a game like that. But, yeah, Aguilar is a revelation, and he right now deserves to be up there. With Pavia, and of course, we were talking yesterday real quick about, Brazel, wide receiver 1, Todd McShay talking about that.
Yeah.
People talking about Aguilar as a pro prospect. Never heard any of that before this year. I ask you too. Like last year, all the stuff Pavia was doing, it was great. It's so much fun. This offense is fun. He's fantastic. I didn't really take him seriously as an NFL quarterback. Has he gotten himself to the point where he could be like in a camp and be a backup in the NFL?
Well, I'll tell you what stands out to me about him right now, and I think we're still early enough in the process of this season where I want to see if it holds when they get into SEC play, like deep into it. But let me read you a number from him that really jumps out to me this year. 2022, his completion percentage at 53%, 60% in 2023 at New Mexico. His last year at Vanderbilt, for all the good that he did last year, his completion percentage was 59.4. It's not very good. Right now, again, it's early. We'll see if it holds. Right now, his completion percentage is 73.5. Like, it's a massive jump. So we talked about the accuracy getting better. I think that's part of it. I think they've schemed some things up to where he's getting some, it's right there, make it happen looks. It's another year in the offense. He's got better talent around him. So we'll see if that holds up. But he's clearly more accurate this year. So I think that's a big deal. As far as an NFL guy, we'll see. Look, at this point, I don't know that I really want to doubt Diego Pavia.
Yeah.
Really, the only thing that I think is going to make that problematic is if you're an NFL team and you just start looking sheerly at his measurables, like the size.
Yeah, he's little.
Is that going to scare you?
He's little, and he doesn't have a huge arm,
right,
by any means. I guess it's like you could kind of make the comparison to a Stetson Bennett. Right? Stetson Bennett, who was obviously surrounded by ridiculous talent, but little guy running around, never should have been, no one ever thought coming out of high school he'd be there. But I'm with you. It just seems like some of his downfield throws, he just has the touch on them right now.
Yeah.
So, I think he's moved himself into that possibility, just like Aguilar has. Guys who, and again, I'm sure Aguilar was not on anybody's board. Pavia, I don't think so, not much. I remember last year I asked Brugler about it, and he's like, well, it'll help him to get in the Senior Bowl or whatever and see what he can do. That was, of course, before we knew he'd have another year of college football.
Right.
Which is good for college football to have another year of Diego Pavia.
Yes, it is. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News Sentinel will join us coming up next. We'll get into all things Tennessee with him. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning, talking some Vols. And to help us do that, we head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in our buddy Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News-Sentinel. Adam, good morning. How are you?
Pretty good. How you guys doing?
Doing great. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning. Obviously, Adam, and just an awesome game on Saturday between Tennessee and Georgia. Tennessee comes up short in overtime, and we can get into the a couple different reasons as to why that game got away from them. But what I guess kind of stands out to you the most on the Tennessee front in the aftermath of that game against Georgia?
The offense is for real. Joey Aguilar's for real. Chris Brazzell, Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, the wide receivers are for real. It was obviously the loss. You don't want the loss. I think by the end of the year, if Georgia is as good as we think it is, this may be the quote unquote best loss of playoff contenders if Tennessee is in the playoff hunt. The old your best win and your best loss or your worst loss. I think this would be in the category of one of the best losses in the country. And now I know Tennessee fans don't want to hear that, but it helps you down the road, or it could help you down the road if you take care of business. The offensive part of it, I think we all thought maybe this offense would be pretty good from what we saw in the Syracuse and ETSU games, but you have to consider the competition. We knew we would get some kind of answer in the Georgia game. Just to go back last year, I know there's always the Joey versus Nico talk and all that. A lot of the things that I saw coming out of the ETSU game was, wow, Joey threw for more yards and a half than Nico did in this many games last year. Well, Nico threw for 300 and something yards and a half against Chattanooga last year. So what Joey did against ETSU, Nico did and then some last year. So there was still a question of, is this offense good? Is Joey Aguilar good? Or was he just good against bad teams? And we got the answer. If you can put up almost 400 yards passing, accounted for 5 touchdowns, total offense was about 500 yards, 41 points. If you can do all that on Kirby Smart's defense, which still has a ton of talent, you could do that against any team on the schedule. So the way that I come out of this, aside from the loss, is I say, okay, this has the makings of we can look at this offense now as similar to the 2022 offense. And if you remember that season, you went into every game and said, I think they can score 40 on this team. And it didn't really matter the team, except for Georgia that year. And so I now look at this and say, at Mississippi State, they can put up 40 there. Arkansas at home, they can put up 40 there. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but they did it against Georgia, and so I have every reason to believe that they have that capability now.
So Sparkles and I call Adam Sparkles.
I'm sure he loves that.
Yeah, he loves that. We were in the press box after the game Saturday, and he's like, "Did you have like a big issue with like the sequence before the field goal? Because they're all you immediately start dealing with like your mailbag right after the game.
Yeah.
So, okay, so catch me up, because we talked about this some yesterday, Adam, that and, of course, the lack of aggression after the turnover. Have Tennessee fans calmed down? Are people still mad at Josh Heupel?
No, they've gotten over some. I think the second wave of criticism died down because people looked back and said, well, that coach also called the offense that put up everything that I just said, the 41 points, 500 yards. And I think another thing is, there's two kinds of mistakes that a coach can make. There's one where everybody in the stadium can say, dummy, we all knew that. Why did you do it that way? I hate to bring up old wounds, but the Titans opener,
yes.
Right? Yes. Yeah. Dummy.
That's malpractice.
We all just Googled the rule and you don't know the rule, right? That's one way to make a mistake, where it's just a clear mistake. Another one is when there's some logic to it. You could do A or you could do B, and maybe this fan wants to do A and the coach did B. Running the ball right after that turnover, the strip sack, run it 3 straight times. You would like to have seen a pass on third down there, but if you look back at the film, the run that was called was there. A block was missed. On the set up the field goal, yeah, you would say, well, why not run another play to get it closer? Or, you had a few seconds there, but they weren't going to do that. They were just going to try to center the ball so that they could have a little better angle of a kick. And, some of what Josh Heupel did was just say, hey, we just lost 5 yards on a false start. What if we lose 5 yards again? What if there's a hold, another penalty? The next play to set up the field goal at the end of regulation was not going to be to gain yards. It was just going to be to get the ball a little more to the center of the field. So it's going to be a loss anyway. So I think at some point he said, can Max Gilbert make this kick? Yes. So let's go make it. And he didn't. And that's just how it is.
So Adam, on the injury front, you've got really some comments from Heupel yesterday on David Sanders that I don't really know what to make of, talking about a unique injury and the time frame basically being unknown, and he could wake up one day and be ready to go, and there it is. So we'll see what that looks like. What do you make of that? And what do you think is a realistic timeline for when Jermod McCoy can be back playing corner for this team?
From what I understand of the David Sanders, the unique injury, it's shoulder, but it's you have a stinger. I've never had a stinger, but it's neck, shoulder, nerves. That's why it's unpredictable. It can be there one day, gone the next. You can have a loss of strength there, and it has to be evaluated. So it's a weird injury. Players play with stingers quite a bit at the NFL level, especially. But they're all different and weird. So until he's back, I won't believe he's back. He may play against UAB, but I don't know that I would bet on it. Jermod McCoy, the way that I asked it yesterday, I asked Josh Heupel on the presser. I said, is it way too optimistic to think Jermod may be back before the bye week or before the off week? And Josh's response was, the first off week? Whoa. Because it's the second off week in November.
The break between the bowl game?
That's right. Yeah. 2027. So, I think they've liked his progress behind the scenes. But if usually ACLs, a good prognosis for an ACL for an elite athlete is about 9 months, which for Jermod would be October. So I think they would love to have him back, Mississippi State. Then he could go into the off week and then play Arkansas, Alabama. They just, from the tone of Josh Heupel's response, it didn't sound that way. And he was actually very open about injuries yesterday because it's UAB week. It's UAB week, and also there was so much flack on message boards and fan base and all that about the David Sanders thing, so he kind of had to answer it. But to me, it feels like the goal should be to try to get Jermod back before Alabama. And if it doesn't happen then you start to question, if and when it's going to happen. Because I think a lot of this, too, with Jermod may come down to, is this a playoff team or not? Because he wants to be back right now. I'm sure his representation, his agents are saying, well, if this is not a playoff team, how does that affect your draft status? Are you a first-round pick if you don't come back? Are you a first-round pick if you come back and you don't play well because you're not healthy? There's a lot of questions in there. So I think Tennessee should hope he's back by Alabama, but we'll see.
Like you said, Adam, the offense for real. Aguilar, to me, he should be a Heisman guy at this point. The offensive line pass protection against Georgia, I thought was fantastic without Sanders. We know who the receivers are. I like their backs too, and they have another rotation. But I got to say, I'd like to see a game where Star Thomas gets like 18 carries and see what that may look like. Is this a little bit of a situation like Dylan Sampson when he was younger and you could kind of see he just has a little more juice than the other guys?
Yeah, maybe. I think you got to account for a lot of different things of who's the best pass protector, and I think it's probably Deshaun Bishop. Who do they trust the most coming into the year? That was Deshaun Bishop. That's why he started. I've said before, I thought Deshaun Bishop was sort of a Jabari Small, and you're making the same analogy there. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Star Thomas get it more. I wouldn't necessarily take away from Deshaun. I would probably take away carries from Peyton Lewis, which is what they did the other night. But you've always got a balancing act there with, these coaches these days in the portal era, what does that mean in the off season? Does Peyton Lewis start to get antsy and look at the portal at the end of the year if he's pushed out of the rotation? Sir Thomas would be gone next year, so maybe not. But you always wonder about those things, about how keeping different people happy. I'm not saying Peyton Lewis is unhappy at all, but you always have to weigh those things.
Adam, last thing for you here. What did you make of Caleb Herring, his game Saturday, and what that could mean for Tennessee's pass rush as they dive into SEC play coming up?
There's this point in time when every one of these edge guys for Tennessee sort of you see it, they flash, and you think, okay, this is the next guy, and that may have been the game for Caleb Herring. I mean, it was Byron Young, obviously blowing up the Titans the other day. It was James Pierce, it's Joshua Joseph, and Caleb Herring was. I mean, he was the number one recruit in the state of Tennessee like 3 years ago, and so you knew he had the talent to be the next guy. I do think that was probably the flash of him being the next guy, the edge guy. And by the way, Jordan Ross, the former 5-star, looked good too. They just keep on churning them out, and that position on defense is just, they get sacks, they get TFLs, and it looks like Caleb Herring is the next guy in line.
Well, Adam, awesome stuff as always, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning. We will be excited to watch the rest of the year here, what this means for Tennessee, and we will talk to you soon, my friend.
All right, guys. You have a good one.
Yes, sir. You too. Adam Sparks, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll take your thoughts on what Adam had to say. We will get into some comments from Brian Callahan and the Tennessee Titans coming up next as well. The Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up at 7:45. All that ahead, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode later this hour. We'll have Gentry Estus from the Tennessean joining us at 8 o'clock on the program. We will get into the Titans, into the Doors, into the Vols with Gentry coming up a little bit later in the show. So looking forward to that. Brian Callahan addressing the media yesterday in his weekly Monday press conference, recapping the loss against the Rams, looking ahead to this week against the Indianapolis Colts. And, Joe, one of the topics that came up was the sack total that the Titans have allowed through 2 games. 6 sacks against Denver, 5 against the LA Rams. Obviously, you can't be letting your quarterback get sacked 5.5, 6 times a game and expect that that's going to end very well for you and your offense as you move forward here. So Brian Callahan was asked, what do you make of the total and what exactly is going wrong there? Here's what Brian Callahan had to say on that front.
11 sacks in the first 2 games. How much of a concern is the pass pro right now?
Yeah, I know. Again, we've been down this road, I think, before, and I don't mean to be dismissive of your question, but I think that, as I've said a million times, that sacks are an offensive problem. They're not an offensive line problem. Felt like a handful of our sacks were avoidable. You know, one of the sacks is Cam running out of the pocket and taking a 2-yard loss, outside the pocket, which isn't an offensive line thing. I think a lot gets made of sacks being an offensive line stat. And while I'm not dismissing the fact that we got to play better up front. That's certainly not the case. But the sack thing is an entire equal parts problem. We've had 2 or 3 pressures and sacks come off of some running back protection things. It's not just them. And so, yeah, the number in and of itself is concerning. Don't like that number. Don't want to have that. That's not going to help us win any football games. But I do think there's an extra onus that gets put on our offensive line based on what's happened here before and how it's looked, that the sacks are all on them. There's 11 sacks, and oh my God, that looks terrible. I think it's a little more nuanced than that, and I think there's more things that can be done to help from quarterback perspective, from receiver perspective, from running back perspective. So it's an everybody issue that we don't just pin the blame on them. We got to be better everywhere on offense, I think, for that number to improve.
So, Joe, what do you make of that answer from Brian Callahan as it relates to the sack total and the offensive line?
Like, big picture, of course, he's right that some of the sacks at the end of the year, you give up 40 sacks. Some of these are on the quarterback. Some of them, the offensive line did its job. The back screwed up pass protection, so that's on the back. Some of them, the protection held up actually as well as you would hope. The coverage, there was nothing there. It's a coverage sack. But, I mean, let's be real. Anybody who's watched this team through 2 games has seen that most of the sacks are because one or more of the offensive linemen gets completely pantsed right after the snap. So I like nuance, yes, in general. And of course, I don't think any Chris Harris or anybody is saying it's only the offensive line. We've talked about Cam Ward has a couple of those on him, right?
Sure.
But let's be real. Again, this offensive line is bad, and sacks do still reflect an offensive line's performance more than they reflect anything else.
Yeah, like I'm looking, and again, there's a limitation to what this means. So let me be clear on the front end of that. But I'm looking at PFF right now. Dan Moore has a 40.1 pass blocking grade, which is 76th in the NFL out of 92 qualifying tackles.
Is that bad?
And he's your starting left tackle. A 40.1 grade, which is 76th in the NFL right now. So, look, I'm with Brian Callahan. I can think back to the Denver game, and there's 2 sacks that are probably on Cam Ward in that game alone, right? So he's right. The sack total itself is not just as simple as it's the offensive line cratering, but it kind of sounded like to me like he was trying to take attention off the offensive line, just absolutely cratering out there. And that's, if that does not improve, they just have no chance offensively here. And obviously Latham back in there is going to be a big part of that. But I think what he said there about how much attention has been on the offensive line around here and how maybe that amplifies the discussion a little bit. It's like, well, part of why you were
There's a
brought
reason.
in. There has been a lot of attention on the offensive line because it's been absolutely terrible. It's been the worst offensive line in the league the last couple of years. And it does not need to be that way again. And it ain't off to a good start. Like, it's got to get better. I'm sorry. At some point, it's got to get way better.
Do you have all their grades? Or you just have
I
his?
don't. I just got Moore's at the moment.
What'd you say it was? 41?
40.1 is the pass blocking grade at the moment.
As much as I absolutely disdain PFF and the instant grades, whenever they support a narrative of mine, of course.
Yeah.
That's compelling. Dan Moore. Dan Moore is more like man door. Man door. Open the man door and sack my quarterback, please. I think we're going to call him man door until he blocks somebody.
I think it was Liam on the YouTube chat yesterday that called him Dan Less, which I kind of like that.
Okay.
It's Dan Less.
Do we like Dan Less or man door better?
I like Dan Less.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with man door. Open it up. Yeah, right to the quarterback. That's a screen door.
Is a low T alert.
Thank you.
Welcome in. Just say hi to Cam Ward.
But behind
Southern hospitality.
Door number 1, man door. Hey, it's a quarterback. Here's a sack.
The thing is, and I heard Callahan talk about this yesterday, and I agree. And again, look, I'm not some offensive line evaluator, nor am I some offensive line coach. So take what I have to say for a grain of salt here. I thought the interior, I think Skoronski's been pretty good so far.
Mm-hmm.
Cushenberry coming back off the Achilles injury, I think has been pretty good so far. Zeitler, other than a few penalties that he's got to clean up in the run game specifically, I think has been good. So, their problems, stop me if you've heard this one before, Joe, kind of rest at the tackle spots right now, which has been a theme around here.
That's the thing, though. I think I understand that in the last few years, Skoronski's had his, that stuff. But I actually think it would be refreshing just to see Titans quarterbacks sacked through interior pressure. Just anything but the instant tackle lunging and flailing and, oh, God. And obviously it's been exaggerated on the right side because of the injury. And it's just, I don't even know what the heck they're going to do over there. I mean, I guess try someone else now. Try Blake Hance, I guess, right? And a lot of people thought that was going to be the case anyway. But, seriously, it's just – so, people like Craig on the text says, if sacks on an O-line stat, what the hell is the O-line even out there for? To look pretty? Well, again, the point is, and it's correct, there are times when the offensive line does do its job and a sack happens, and then everyone says, this offensive line allowed this many sacks. I get it. And certainly if you're an offensive lineman, if you're an offensive line coach, you hate that stuff. It's like, I'll go through the film with you right now. This quarterback ran himself into that sack, and that happens. But again, if you broke down the 11 sacks right now, I would wager that on 9 of them, and again, this doesn't even count all the pressures that didn't turn into sacks and stuff like that, right? At least somebody got beat so quickly, it just can't be deemed anything other than a completely failed rep.
You want some positive stuff on the offensive line? Peter Skoronski, his overall grade at PFF, 72.6, which is 11th in the league among guards. Pass blocking grade, 76.8, which is 12th. Run blocking grade, 72.6, which is 11th. So pretty consistently right there. Skoronski's off to a nice start.
There you go. Again, I hate to give PFF.
I know I'm doing a lot of PFF.
Sorry, this is a Johnny G. He would love this segment. If we just throw a little Trey Avery for this segment, it'd be his favorite segment of all time. But that does match what I feel like I've seen.
Yeah, I agree. So, the problems are at tackle. I don't know what's going on in the studio next to us right now. A lot of noise happening.
I was wondering. I was like, wow, it's kind of loud.
What the heck's going on?
I could kind of hear something in the background. I was checking all my computers, everything.
I thought Ian had cranked up the volume on Charmed, but I don't know.
Season 1, baby. We're starting over.
We'll take your thoughts on the Titans offensive line and Brian Callahan's comments that, hey, don't be so quick to put all the sacks on the O-line. More on that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Heated debate raging on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com and our YouTube chat. Do we like Mandor better for Dan Moore or Dan Less? I'm still sticking with Dan Less. I find that funny. That's what I'm going with.
You're disrespecting my nickname.
Yours is fine.
I mean, think of the T-shirts we could do, like Mandor, and just have his face like opening toward,
We did have one comment that says, Mandor plays lookout for the Titans. Look out, Cam! They're coming right at you. Hey, Cam! Here they come. Sorry.
Hey, Mandor, tell us if they're coming or not, okay? At least can you, tell us if you see anybody over there?
Snap the ball. Immediately. Cam, look out! Cam, run!
He was in a Trojan horse. I couldn't see him.
Cam, run!
Yeah.
Playing quarterback for the Titans probably been a fun experience the last few years. Oh, God, I snapped the ball and somebody's immediately in the backfield. What do I do?
Jackson has an honest question. He says, honest question, has Bill Callahan made our O-line worse? And I responded on the text line, driven by WilsonCounty.com. I said, Skoronski has improved, right? I think Latham has improved. We haven't really been able to find out.
We'll see.
We'll see we'll see. I think so. I mean, at least losing weight was good. He's like you've said, he needs to be great. But again, the question is about Bill Callahan working with the offensive line. I think the big issue here is, again, evaluating that Nicholas Petit-Frere would be fine at right tackle. Now, was the film actually terrible? And then Callahan couldn't see that. I think some of that is the intangibles of Nicholas Petit-Frere, right? That I guess you could say maybe
fantasy football expert Nicholas Petit-Frere.
Yeah, but still, I mean, they decided he can play. They decided Ojukwu can play. They had what's his name, who was here last year. They've just had so many bad tackles, and I understand it's hard. There's tackles who can play in this league are at a premium, but it just the entire operation and picking, in some cases, figuring out, I think this guy can do something with this guy has been a big fail.
Yeah, I mean, look,
I don't think he's making guys worse. I mean, we don't need to be.
Has he made the offensive line worse? I mean, the offensive line was awful when he took over, so let's remember that. My biggest problem is he hasn't made it all that much better, right? That's my problem. I'm not really worried about him making it worse. I don't know that he's made it worse, but there's not been anywhere near to this point the improvement that you're looking for when you're talking about, again, a Hall of Fame resume, right? Like Bill Callahan, universally regarded as one of the top offensive line coaches, not just now, but in the history of the game. Okay. So, do I think he got here and forgot how to coach football? No, but there have not been enough improvements on the offensive line. And I think, to your point, the choices are a big part of that. We'll see. It's a 2-game start for Dan Moore, but it's rough to this point, right? It's not been very good through 2 games. So what does that look like 6-7 games into the season? Latham, that's a big part of this. Latham, they took Latham 7th overall.
Well, and that's part of the choice thing.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a left tackle. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, he's not a left tackle. How do you mess that up?
Right. No, I'm totally with you. But even that, I could probably live with that if Latham turns into an elite right tackle. But sure. He needs to be elite. You took him 7th overall. I'm sorry. People, well, what if he's just pretty good? No, that's not good enough. He needs to be an elite right tackle in this league based on where they took him. And that's going to be part of the story as well. And we need to see that at some point this year. But yeah, I feel good about Skoronski. Skoronski's gotten a lot better. But overall, the offensive line is still having some of the same issues that they had when he first got here, which is not what you want.
No. Abel in the YouTube chat says, what a twist it would be if Callie fired his dad and it saved his job. Yeah, I don't think that's I don't know about that. Omar SBP03 says Mandor sounds like an 80s wrestler. Mandor!
Kind of reminds me of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
That Hodor guy.
Yeah.
Hold the door.
Mark says
Mandor has arrived.
Hard to believe this year's offensive line is twice as better as last year's was ridiculously bad. Well, I don't think it is. I don't think we know that yet.
Who said that?
I don't think it's twice as good as last year's offensive line. We'll see. First off, they need to get Latham healthy. So that's another thing to watch this week is Latham. Does he have a chance to go and not only go Sunday, but can he is the hip issue going to be behind him? Because I'm with you, Joe. Like I hear hip for a tackle, and I think
it's not good for anybody.
Is this going to be something that just lingers all year? Because really, what I don't want, and nobody's really necessarily got control over it at this point, but what I don't want is to get to the end of the year and maybe Latham tries to power through it and it just doesn't go very well. And you to get to the end of the year, Joe, and you're like, well, Latham wasn't very good at right tackle this year, but he was hurt the whole year. So what does that mean? It's like, well, I don't want that. Like I need Latham to be healthy, and let's get a true picture and evaluation of what he is over there at right tackle. And I hope they're able to get that this year.
Yeah. And it might be, it's one of those things. Latham's great. Like Latham is intangibly, I think he wants to be great.
Yeah.
I think he's great in the locker room. Sometimes guys like that though are like, it's hard to keep him off the field.
Yeah.
So that, this might be a thing where you need to save him from himself and let him go as much as he can to heal it this year. So when he comes back, he can be right. You can't just keep rushing back. Then he gets hurt again. And I can see that being a thing. Mark says, remember that Sadiq Charles retired. NPF was always a backup. No, Sadiq Charles was the guard. He was a guard.
Yeah.
He was going to be the right guard. NPF was stated in practice, in public statement, and everything you can say. He was their choice as their starting right tackle going into last year.
Did not go well.
No.
So, and now, Dan Moore, they gave a lot of money to, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday. What was your other option? If you knew in your heart of hearts you were drafting a quarterback and you were drafting Cam Ward, what was your other option to select a left tackle out there? I don't know, but they gave a whole lot of money to Dan Moore. And I remember the day they did it. I looked at your face and you were just like, Dan Moore, huh? Oh, great. That's awesome.
Yeah,
and
well,
so
Steelers
far,
fans are all like, oh, good. Please take him.
And through 2 games, they appear to be right. Now, again, as you pointed out yesterday, it's 2 games. It's a different position, obviously. But I remember when they had Saffold in here and he looked awful for a few games. And then he figured it out and the offensive line figured it out. And by the end of that year in 2019, the offensive line, other than Derrick Henry, was probably the best part of the whole football team. They were really, really good.
It was great.
So maybe after 5 or 6 games, Dan Moore looks really good over that left tackle. I'm still leaving the door open for some improvement here, but it's a bad start.
You're leaving that door open
for Mandor.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he'll look better. But right now, Kwity Paye is like, I really want to sack Cam Ward. Go through the man door, young man.
By the way, speaking of sacks, I was not aware of this until you told me yesterday. But apparently Harold Landry has 3.5 sacks in 2 games for the Patriots.
10 pressures. He has 3.5 sacks and 10 pressures. The Titans edge group has no sacks and 10 pressures, and credit Mike Herndon's tweet for that.
That's good. Good for him.
Good for him. He and
Not
Braves.
good for the Titans.
I don't know if he's as fast as Braves running down that sideline, though.
Harold Landry.
Probably not.
Already with 3.5 sacks on the year. A quote from a high-level quarterback in the league regarding Cam Ward that I want to get into coming up next. Plus, an AFC team with some devastating injury news. How screwed are they? We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up here in just a few minutes at 7:45. Joe, some strong words from Matthew Stafford on Titans quarterback Cam Ward on his weekly Let's Go show.
Let's go!
Stafford talking about the Titans says, quote, "That's a salty team. I know their record is what it is, but that's a really solid defense. A young quarterback that is super talented. Man, his first touchdown pass of his career was one to remember. That was an unbelievable play. I just tipped my cap to him on the sideline and said, that's well done, youngin'." Also on Ward said, quote, "I was impressed by what he was able to do out of the pocket. He made some plays with his feet, threw a couple balls in timing and rhythm down the field to some receivers that were really impressive. And then the touchdown pass was a play of its own. It almost looked a little Patrick Mahomes-ish, where you're running around back there buying all sorts of time and then throwing it to the part of the field where nobody thought you'd throw it. It was an impressive play by the kid." This is from Matthew Stafford on Cam Ward. Stafford loving what he's seeing from Cam Ward to this point.
Well, more Patrick Mahomes comparisons.
I will be totally honest with you. When Ward had the ball back there and he made that little back step and like jump cut it to the right, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
It kind of looked like Patrick Mahomes.
It did.
Back there. And then you have to throw to go on top of it.
It did. And I know right now maybe isn't the time to talk because Patrick Mahomes is not flourishing, and it's the second straight year of Kansas City kind of like, although it's not his fault that Kelsey botched a freaking touchdown pass. It probably wins the game. But, yeah, there are some, you can see it. You can see some. Now, the difference, of course, is Patrick Mahomes also just does all the little things, right? Like constantly accurate, quick, ball out, ball down. Here and there, he makes those ridiculous plays. Whereas, like, another guy who's been compared to him, not to bring him into this, he didn't do anything, but I'm sorry. But Caleb Williams is a guy who 3-4 times a game does something, and you're like, oh, my goodness. But then the entirety of the game, one read, tuck, it can't see anybody, sacked, can't run it around, should have just gotten rid of the ball. You had an open receiver, sacked, up, you threw it away. I mean, that's right. Like, it's like, great. So you can do a Patrick Mahomes highlight film with Caleb Williams, but he's like a fraction of what he is as a quarterback right now. Right?
Yeah.
But, yes, that play by Cam Ward is an absurd play.
Well, it's exactly – that's the type of play you make, and it's like, yep, number one overall right there. And look, I'll be honest with you, I think some Titans fans specifically getting a little carried away from what they've seen from Cam Ward the first 2 weeks. I said it yesterday. I like what I've seen. I think he's been good. More than anything, he has not made catastrophic mistakes out there, which you expect might happen to a rookie quarterback in their first 2 games against really good defenses. So the fact that he hasn't done that, I think is pretty encouraging. I mean, we are still talking about 287 total yards, 4.7 yards an attempt, and a completion percentage of 50.8 through 2 games. So let's not get crazy with it.
Please, let's calm down. I mean, let's go back to C.J. Stroud's rookie year. So if Cam Ward has any segment of this season that looks like that, and I understand that that was a better team, although we thought it was a bad team, but it was a better team. I think C.J. Stroud elevated the team, which is something you want to see to some extent this year too. If we're going to talk about Cam Ward, like we're really going to praise, like, okay, is there a win to be had? You know, is there an overall good performance to be had? Think about how good C.J. Stroud was. I watched that game last night. I watched them struggle to do anything. They certainly couldn't run the ball.
Yeah.
He missed throws. He made some great throws too. He got booed. He got booed multiple times in his home stadium. It's year 3 for him. Now, would I take C.J. Stroud as my starting quarterback? Heck yes. But I'm just saying, you know, you see a great throw here, a great throw there. And like, there's plenty of guys who can do that. I'll take the guy who can't make a play like that, but constantly makes the right play over the guy who here and there makes the amazing play. And I'm not saying that's what Cam Ward is. I'm just saying, like, that's why he was the number 1 pick. Yeah. But if that is why, then he's not going to work out, because you need the consistent excellence to sustain being a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah. On the NFL at large front, Joe Burrow has surgery, is going to miss at least 3 months for the Bengals with the turf toe injury that he sustained. So another situation where Burrow is injured, and for the foreseeable future, it's going to be Jake Browning as the starting quarterback for the Bengals. Couple things on this front. Number one, what does that do to Cincinnati? I'm looking at their schedule right now. Over the next few weeks, they have at Minnesota, so a battle of the backups coming up, at Denver, home against Detroit, on the road against Green Bay, and then after that, you've got some, Pittsburgh, Jets, Bears, Pittsburgh again, some more manageable games in there. But what sort of a blow is this to the Bengals? And like in general with the Bengals, you have either a defense being atrocious like it was last year and ruining an MVP type season for Burrow, or you have Burrow getting hurt. Burrow gets hurt a lot. Like he's getting hurt all the time out there. So what do you make of what this means for the Bengals as a whole?
I think it means they're not going to make the playoffs. It's just hard for me to project that they will. Browning did some great things coming in, and he's a good bag. He's been there for a while, so yeah, it's interesting because the Bengals, you could make the case, and I know some Bengals fans have made the case, like you've got to go out and get someone because of the injury issues with him, like better, someone who's a little more proven. But obviously they've really worked on developing Browning. So, I mean, I think he can keep him in games, but I think that ultimately it's going to be another year of the Bengals missing the playoffs. And it's just now you're looking at this window that just looks like it's being wasted, especially when you think about Trey Hendrickson taking the 1-year deal, this year. I mean, they got the receivers locked up, but I know a lot of Bengals fans also are like, you've done nothing to protect Burrow and it's all your fault. I mean, they have tried, they've done things. And I think at some point you have to kind of look at the reality of it. Is Joe Burrow just a little bit too fragile? It's unfortunate. It's not like you blame him and point the finger at him. It's just a possible unfortunate reality of Joe Burrow's career is that they're not going away and they're not decreasing in frequency. And it just seems some of these injuries he has, it's not like you even see a huge hit on the play.
Yeah, I mean, the other one, the one Sunday, I mean, yeah, he got his foot caught up, which ultimately is why he got hurt. But you look at it and you're like, well, you see that play, 7-8 times a week in the NFL. And just this happens to be the one where turf toe comes about with it. So, look, can Jake Browning keep him in the race? The good news for them is they haven't gotten off to the bad starts that they've gotten off to the last couple of years, and they're 2-0. So you got a little bit of wiggle room right now, but like 3 months from now, are they going to be still in the race in what could be? I mean, in the AFC North, that Baltimore is going to be really, really good. Pittsburgh, we'll see. Week 1 they look great. Week 2, not so much. So we'll see what that looks like. Cleveland's got a good defense. So are they going to be able to hang around in the AFC while he's out? I don't know. I mean, Browning, yes, he led the comeback the other day and they won. He also threw 3 picks. So, like, what exactly is he going to be as he emerges as the starting quarterback for 3 months for this team?
Well, this is also, so these are starting to pick up around the league. So, Ryan in Florida, Bengals, Tannehill still hasn't retired as far as I know.
That actually at one point.
Yeah. And there's also the okay, all right, Atlanta. What do you want? What do you want for
Cousins?
Captain Kirk? Yeah. I think
Jameis.
Those two guys. I'm seeing some calls for Jameis. I like that too.
Honestly, you'd probably be better off just going Jake Browning than Jameis, but that's just me.
What about Tannehill? Like, would Tannehill?
I mean, this kind of fits the profile, right, of a team that if he's been waiting on a playoff type roster. I mean, if you're as a quarterback, what more could you ask for? Throwing to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he hasn't retired yet. I guess until he actually retires, you got to leave the door open for it. But
the fact that he hasn't, doesn't that mean he is waiting for a situation like this?
You would think.
If you're the Bengals, it's been a while, obviously, since he's set foot on a football field. Also, you saw him play just a
nightmare.
Those same coaches were like, oh, thank goodness Ryan Tannehill was on the other team during this playoff game. But I don't think it's crazy.
Man, how Titans would it be for Ryan Tannehill to just totally implode against the Cincinnati Bengals? And then Tannehill comes back and just nails
Wins it all.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
We'll see.
What if he's like amazing but then Burrow's healthy in the playoff? I think I'm sticking with Tannehill.
Joe, sit down.
Sorry, Joe.
Stand aside, Joe.
You are Drew Bledsoe.
Tannehill's
He is
back.
Tom Brady.
We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up next. Gentry Estus from the Tennessee in at 8 o'clock. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
Coach, you look very good tonight.
Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
You ever talk to your team about cheating, Jim?
Dan Moore is more like Mandor. Mandor.
And when I have to turn on the TV and people bring up that word and they try to casually throw the word out there like you do, but it's still the word.
I need you to fluff me for a little bit first.
For me, that's a very fulfilling moment. Borderline erotic.
10 of Cheeks tight buns. Oh my God. My ass is burning.
White Sox. White Sox. Go, go, White Sox. Let's.
It is time for the Rex Rant. Brought to you by Functional Medicine of Tennessee. Rise up to better health. Check them out at functionalmedicineoftennessee.net. Joe Rexrode, the floor is yours.
Woo! All right. Well, don't know how to follow that one up.
Well,
welcome to the Mandor.
Cam, look out!
Okay. I think I see him. They're somewhere out here. Hand me my binoculars.
Oh, my God, it's Jared Verse.
Oh, nope. He's already, yep, sorry.
There he goes.
There he goes. I have to read this. Liam McLeod said, Mandor sounds like the He-Man figure that no kid wanted to get on Christmas morning in 1986. Mandor! I got Mandor and She-Ra. Come on, man. That's a good one, Liam. All right. Today I get so few opportunities anymore to shamelessly plug things I write in The Athletic. But today I'd like to read you a headline from my column in The Athletic, which is Michigan State USC start time is perfect if you're a Spartans alum living in Bangkok.
Did you know Joe
Thank
writes
you.
for The Athletic?
I just, every once in a while, we do need to step back. It's like with college football. Sometimes we need to step back, like on Saturday, and say, whatever else you think of all this stuff, what an amazing game. Just, it's just as, and that is the thing that gives me hope, is that Saturday, to me, is just as good. Game didn't feel any less intense. It was amazing. The fans were amazing. It was tremendous. Also, every once in a while, because we're so used to it, it's kind of like we get desensitized to bad offensive line play or Titans just losing all the games. Sometimes we need to step back and also remind ourselves how freaking stupid college sports is. They're playing like Michigan State is in the Eastern time zone. Their team is playing a big game on Saturday in college football. It kicks off at 11:05 p.m. Like, this is like watching Korean baseball during COVID. Oh, goody. We could just be on a different time zone and watching it. Like I said, in Bangkok, it's perfect. There are apparently, I looked this up yesterday on the internet, there are 517 Michigan State alums living in Thailand.
Good to know.
Perfect. 11 a.m. kickoff. Awesome for you. Now, I reached out to the Big Ten yesterday to give me some answers on how this could possibly happen. They did not respond, which made me worry that they are so busy working on a spin job for Tony Petitti's new 60-team playoff.
Yeah.
Next year, playing games, 17 auto bids for the Big Ten, and it's UCLA and Nico against Rutgers for the last spot in the play-in game next week. Let's go, Tony Petitti in the Big Ten. All right. Just completely stupid. And let me tell you something. I know we always do the Big Ten SEC comparisons. Well, the SEC doesn't have teams on the Pacific Coast, and they don't make their teams play games that start at 11 p.m. local, and they don't make USC, which is playing this game, at 8 p.m. their local time, which is super late for people out there, by the way. Like, they're not used to games that late either. Then the next week, they play a game at 9 a.m. their time for the big noon kickoff at Northwestern.
Yeah.
It's complete insanity to make sure that we have all this TV content. It makes no sense for anyone who would actually want to watch the game, for the people playing the game, for the people coaching the game, for anybody else except the TV executives who think everybody is just a piece on a game board. It's unbelievable. And so let's acknowledge and give a little golf clap to the utter stupidity of college football, but in particular, the Big Ten. You are the dumbest of the dumb.
You going to stay up and watch? You going to pull an all-nighter?
Well, I know that, first of all, I'm sure the kids that are actually up there, I'm sure they'll have no problem, right? But that's another thing. It's like, you think about like a college town and people are out at the bar at a party. Now think about it. You're out at the bar.
Closes for the game.
Well, yeah,
starts.
the bar's going to close at the end of the third quarter. Well, that's what I wrote. I said, I think they're going to have more post-bar brawls because everybody's trying to stream their phone. Their phone's out of battery, and they're trying to get like a burrito after the bar, and then, you don't even know what happened at the end of the game. I mean, look.
Meet us in the Taco Bell parking lot. We'll watch it there.
Yeah, I'm sure, Katie will try. There's no way that I'm going to be up at 2:30 a.m. watching this stupid game. Katie might try. Good luck.
I mean, hey,
I doubt you're going to make it all the way.
Vols fans a few weeks ago when UCLA they kicked off their first game at the same time, 10 o'clock. They stayed up.
Yeah,
they did it.
That's true.
They were passionate about hate watching. Well into the night.
Hate watching can be a very powerful thing. That is true. But again, that was what UCLA Utah, right?
That is correct.
UCLA UNLV.
Yeah.
There is another Big Ten game. Well, there was one last year that was what was it like? I think it was Oregon UCLA. Okay, 8 p.m. local. That traditional Big Ten matchup between Oregon and UCLA.
Yes.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, not very good.
It really is embarrassing.
Not very good.
And it's just again, it's in all seriousness, it is such disrespect for fans. That's what it is, right? It's like
You're
it's
just a wallet these days.
Complete disregard for fans. To make sure you have some content here, content there. That's all it is. Content.
Big win though when Sparty Waltz is in there and they take down USC. Early hours of the morning.
It'd be like a tree falling in the forest. Who knew? Who knows?
Back on Monday.
USC minus 17.5, huh?
Woo!
That's
I think that's about how it's going to go too.
That's
So that's a good thing, I guess, for Michigan State fans is that you probably be able to go
just
to bed
turn
by
that thing
halftime.
off. Just turn it off.
Not to be a hater, just saying.
To see here. By the way, real quickly, speaking of UCLA, they fired Deshaun Foster, their coach, 3 games in.
Yes,
which means the transfer portal is open. They could Nico could get back in the portal if he wants to.
Well, I saw
next 30 days.
Amanda Krisovich from Front Office Sports. She had an interesting tweet because there was all this kind of okay, so what did Nico have to do to did he get paid anywhere close and all this stuff? And essentially, I think that without anybody having an exact number, he took a pretty big pay cut. So he takes a pretty big pay cut to go out to a place with a much tougher cost of living, although I don't know if that really matters. Is he in the dorm? I don't know. Yeah. So this is what Amanda Krisovich, tweeted. She said, after Nico left Tennessee, his representative told Front Office Sports they had not steered him wrong. Now he's making far less money on an 0-3 UCLA team that just fired his head coach. His representative declined to comment. Yeah, I bet they did.
They did. Yeah.
They screwed the kid over.
Get in the portal.
So,
go be quarterback for, I don't know, Grand Valley State next year.
Hey, Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
Brian Kelly used to berate reporters at Grand Valley State about 30 years ago. But seriously, it is like if you want to hate watch Tennessee fans, why don't you hate watch his agent? Find his agent on Twitter, or like his dad, I think is a coach. You could probably find some kind of a feed of his dad's coaching. Hate watch that. They're the people that screwed him over.
Just make sure it starts before 11 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah. Let's see. Probably high school football. Yeah, it's probably be about 9 p.m. Central. If you're in the mid-state, you're fine.
Oh, yeah.
10 p.m. Eastern is fine. Again, even a 10 p.m. Eastern start time, to me, it happens. Late. But 11 p.m. It's past 11:10 p.m. kickoff time.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Gentry Estus from the Tennessean will join us coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. And we head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in our friend Gentry Estus to the program from the Tennessean. Gentry, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. Good to be back with you.
Good to have you with us. Appreciate you taking the time to do so. Gentry, I want to start on Vanderbilt. So Vanderbilt waltzes into South Carolina. And I realized that Lenore Sellers got hurt in the game, and we'll never know, I guess, what South Carolina would have done in the second half had he been in there. However, Vanderbilt's offense pretty much unstoppable in that game, and they win 31-7 on the road at number 11 South Carolina. They're 3-0. They should be 5-0 by the time the Alabama game comes around. What do you make of this start for Vanderbilt and Clark Lee, and where do you think this could ultimately go from here?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying to say I haven't been at least a little bit surprised just from the standpoint. If you told me they were 3-0, maybe that's believable, but the way they've done it, just dominating Virginia Tech in the second half of that game and then, going to Columbia and winning 31-7, I mean, that's pretty crazy. I wondered going into this season, the Virginia Tech game I thought was an interesting setup because that was the first example of Vanderbilt playing a team that they beat in a close game last year, that you felt like was going to be ready. And, I feel like for a half that kind of did play out that way, but Vanderbilt just physically dominated that game in the second half. And then you see what happened in Columbia. I think Vanderbilt's got that ability to kind of impose their will on the other team and just kind of dominate things on both lines of scrimmage. That's something that Vanderbilt has not been able to do in the past. And that's a big change, especially for a team that wants to play the way they do and run up time of possession and kind of wear down the other team. And they've been able to clearly do that the last couple of weeks.
I really hate to take it here, but I've got to do it because this is what other fan bases are talking about, Gentry. So I put it to you, Vanderbilt. I mean, let's be realistic. Vanderbilt goes, 8-4, 9-3, something like that. Is there another job out there that could lure Clark Lee away from Nashville, from his hometown?
I think it would have to be something pretty special. I think if Notre Dame would get brought up, I think, because that's where he was prior to this job, and if there ever happened to be an opening there, but I think it would have to be something special. I think Clark has said since he got to Vanderbilt that he wants to do it here. You're talking about it's different when you're a Nashville guy, a Vanderbilt guy, someone who I think is probably enjoying what's happening right now as much as anybody possibly could for Vanderbilt football. Now, they are in a bit of a moment right now with Jerry Kill and Diego Pavia and the New Mexico State influence and all the players they've been the coaches, the players, the way they've been able to kind of co-opt another program with a lot of success in the last couple of years. So whether that's sustainable, I don't know, but I feel like in this exact moment, like I said, I think, Clark Lee's probably digging this as much as anyone.
So Gentry, on the Tennessee front, obviously an excruciating loss on Saturday, given the way the game ended, but a great game between Tennessee and Georgia. I think we found out Tennessee's offense is for real in that game. So what did you make of kind of where to go with it if you're a Tennessee fan in the aftermath of that and looking ahead at the rest of the schedule? What do you think is on the table for this Tennessee team?
Yeah, I took it as Tennessee's a good team. They're a legit team. They could definitely be a playoff team again. And because of that, I think their fans should be upset to lose that game on Saturday. That was a real opportunity that they let slip away. But, it happens. Look, if you make the field goal, it's the 22 Alabama game all over again. So you miss it, and that's what happens. But I feel like Tennessee, end of the day, should be very encouraged by what happened in that game. I think you guys have made the point that this game against Georgia didn't look anything like Tennessee's previous games against Georgia the last few years. And, from a talent standpoint, I think it was clear the opening weekend against Syracuse that, Heupel pretty quietly has really built up the talent and the depth throughout that team to where they've been able to withstand some things like the injuries to the cornerbacks, injury to a key tackle, things that maybe Tennessee in the past wouldn't have been able to withstand as well. They've got a lot more 4-star kind of players all through the roster. And I think that talent is starting to show up when you see them measured against a team like Georgia, where there really wasn't much of a gap this time. So, you look at the Tennessee schedule, and it's hard to see a game left that you're like, well, they're definitely going to lose that one. I mean, it would not shock me to see this team 10-2 headed back to the playoff.
If you had a football team, you have a team, all things being equal, you got a team, your offensive line, you got your offense, everything's set. You just don't know who the quarterback is. You have a choice. Joey Aguilar or Nico Iamaleava. Who are you plugging in there?
Man, Joe, you're just bringing it this morning.
I'm throwing some curveballs at you.
Right now, it's hard not to say Joey Aguilar. He's outplayed Nico through 2 games, and he's only had 3 games to do it. And that's what's really surprising to this, because, look, Nico, I think there's been some revisionist history with Nico a little bit, where Tennessee fans are going to
He was never good at all.
A little worse than he was. I mean, like, he wasn't phenomenal last year, but he quarterbacked that team well enough to take them to the playoff. And there, in a few key games, he wouldn't play well, but then he'd make a few throws that were important here or there. So I'm not going to sit here and say Nico was terrible, but what we saw on Saturday looked a lot more like Hendon Hooker in 22 than it did Nico Iamaleava in 24. And I think from a Tennessee standpoint, that's how this is supposed to look offensively. And I don't know what it is about Joe Aguilar that he's been able to come in and get that going, but he has. And I think that's really, really encouraging for Tennessee fans.
So, Gentry, a lot of positivity on the Vanderbilt front. Tennessee fans feeling good about the offense. And
let's
now let's
talk
bring up
Titans.
the professional football
team. The other team now, aren't you?
Let's bring up the professional football team.
Low tea time.
So I want to ask you basically what we talked about yesterday on the show, which is this. Nobody is surprised that the Titans are 0-2, right? Like, I mean, you looked at the schedule. Nobody thought they were beating Denver on the road. Nobody thought they were beating the Rams at home. So the record is not surprising. What do you make of how they've arrived at that record? And what do you make of kind of what you've learned through the first 2 games and how that sets things up for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. I mean, I think anyone would have expected 0-2, but here's the deal. And we've talked a lot about the sacks and the pass protection and the O-line. One of the things that's kind of bugged me about these first couple of games is everybody talked about how difficult that matchup was. And look, it was. The defensive fronts they were facing were very good. You knew that, especially in Denver. You knew that with the Rams. So from that standpoint, the fact that they're sitting here with 11 sacks shouldn't be that surprising, I suppose. But here's the deal. When you have the worst team in the league, there aren't good matchups for you. They're all going to be tough matchups. Every defense you face is going to have better edge rushers than what the Titans have. So the idea that, here's what bugged me most about the game this last Sunday is the Titans spent all last season without having a right tackle, without knowing who the right tackle was going to be. They kept rotating people in and out. Nobody could do the job. And here we are, second game of the new season. They learned so much from that experience that they're right back in the exact same place. Don't know who the right tackle is. All it took was one injury to J.C. Latham to just mess up the whole thing. After a preseason in which the O-line looked pretty good, there was a lot of optimism about that group. They still could put things together. Latham gets healthy. They've got the kind of group that should be better than 11 sacks in 2 games, though. And I don't care who you're playing. It's just at what point, and you guys have talked about this, at what point is having Bill Callahan going to help that group?
So, Gentry, 2 losses to two good teams. No one's surprised the Titans are 0-2, but of course the context is what matters and what it looks like. Do you right now think significantly differently about Brian Callahan's prospects of being the coach next year / being the coach through this entire season than you did before this season started?
Being the coach in the future, no, because I didn't really expect that he would keep the job. I mean, we were asked that. We wrote that in the Tennessee, and we had season predictions, and one of mine was, I thought they'd make a coaching team. So no, I guess I can't say it's changed. in terms of making it through the season, I who knows? The thing is, it's in the NFL when you start 0-2, all the negativity builds up very quickly, and it becomes, well, gosh, they're not doing anything right. And there were some bright spots in these first two games that did suggest this team could be capable of at least doing better than 3-14 this year. So, we'll see how that plays out if they're able to get the results going. But I tell you, if they're sitting there with only one win or no wins when Vrabel comes to town in October and the Patriots just put it on them, then I think that's on the table.
Yeah, I totally agree. Gentry, last thing for you. What have you made of Cam Ward through 2 games so far for the Titans?
It's been pretty good. I agree with you guys. Let's all relax a little bit with some of the national outpouring of, oh my, look at the tape. Look how great this was. It's like, well, there were a lot of people seeing some things in a 12 for 28 performance in Denver that maybe weren't quite there yet. But it's, he's a talented guy. Obviously, it showed up in the first touchdown pass. I think with Cam Ward, the thing I've been most encouraged about is the same thing I was encouraged about for most of the preseason. It just the moment doesn't look too big for him. He's a confident guy. I feel like that confidence is going to serve him well playing for a team that's probably going to lose a lot of football games this year. And I think right now, I think this season could be very, very good for Cam Ward as long as he does not let the losing and the sacks and everything that he's going to be confronted with destroy his own self-belief in himself. And I feel like the superpower this guy has is that it won't destroy the self-belief. And I do think if Cam Ward's able to continue on the same trajectory he has throughout his entire career, and I've said this since the Titans drafted him, you bet on a guy who overachieves. And certainly the way he has. A guy who was a no-star recruit, and then he goes to all these schools, and he becomes the number 1 pick in the draft. That's some pretty strong self-belief. So I think it's going to serve him well this year, even if it doesn't look great on the field at all times.
Gentry, great stuff, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us as always, and we will talk to you soon.
Yeah, you bet. Take care, guys.
Gentry Estus from the Tennessean, our guest. We will react to what Gentry had to say, plus a situation that I'm letting my mind wander a little bit here, but I wonder if it's possible that if we would have told you before the college football season began, you would have laughed. But maybe it's not so funny right now. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. I got some tickets to give away. A pair of VIP tickets to the Nashville Oktoberfest on Sunday, October the 5th. It's the VIP area. You can get away from the crowds, kick back and relax in their comfortable seating area while you enjoy unlimited food and drink. Caller number 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Caller 6 will win a pair of VIP tickets to the Nashville Oktoberfest coming up on Sunday, October the 5th. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. So, Joe, I'm going to throw this out there to you. And I realize that in some ways this is fantasy land. But, hey, I allowed my mind to wander a little bit yesterday. Let's see here. So I'm looking at Vanderbilt's schedule, right? They're 3-0. They got Georgia State and Utah State coming up. Should be 5-0. We all know that on the road at Alabama, even though Alabama did not play well in week 1, they have responded and rebounded nicely since then. On the road at Alabama, going to be a challenge for Vanderbilt. But I would not call it an unwinnable game for Vanderbilt. You've got LSU at home a couple weeks later. Big challenge. Not unwinnable, but a big challenge for Vanderbilt. You're on the road at Texas, which just seemed really daunting before the year. Right now, I'm not sure they can complete a forward pass. So does that change between now and November 1st? You got Auburn. That could be tricky. There's a lot of intriguing games that Vanderbilt still has left on their schedule. So look, Joe, there's a chance that by the time the Tennessee game rolls around on November 29th, Vanderbilt could have 4 losses, 5 losses. So I'm not discounting that possibility. There's also a chance they waltz into Alabama and or Texas, get one of those wins on the road. They beat Auburn at home, and they're in a position where by the time the Tennessee game comes around, say they win that Tennessee game, could they be in the college football playoff? It's crazy to think about if you're a Vanderbilt fan and you've watched this program throughout its history. But they may have a shot this year. They're certainly a playoff contender right now, very early into the season. On the Tennessee front, you've got on the road at Bama as well coming up here in a few weeks. We've talked about it. They've had a stinker on the road, it feels like, every year. Last year was Arkansas. Did not go well. Does that happen again this year at some point, whether it's Mississippi State or Kentucky or whatever? Do they have one of those this year? You got Oklahoma at home. That's going to be a really interesting game for Tennessee. But I think you and I both agree that after watching them play against Georgia, they're pretty good. Like, Tennessee's pretty good. And they're going to have a shot, I think, to get back into the college football playoff this year. So my question for you, Joe, is this. Is it possible that on Saturday, November the 29th, when Vanderbilt travels to Neyland Stadium to take on Tennessee, that is basically a win and you're in playoff game for both of these teams?
Yes. Would I predict that right now? No. Is it possible? Yes. And even to be able to say it's possible here on September 16th is pretty significant. So I like to do just projecting, and I know that I guess you can find lines for future games, but I just go with okay, would this team be favored or not in these games? So I look at Tennessee, and they will be the underdog at Alabama. And I believe they will be favored in every other game.
Yeah.
So I really like their chances. Again, like you said, doesn't mean you better be ready to play Mississippi State. That quarterback shaping, they're throwing it around. This is the same offense, by the way.
They will probably be favored against Oklahoma because they're at home, but it's going to be real tight, that line.
And that's one of those, depending on how things go, where it could be like a 1.5 point. That's pretty close to a toss-up game. We understand the issues at Florida. And as bad as it is right now for Billy Napier, again,
he's played Tennessee great.
He has. And exactly a year ago, we all were firing Billy Napier. And then at the end, Lagway gets hot. They get hot. They win 5 in a row. So is it possible they have turned things around? They haven't stopped playing. Their defense gave them a really good chance to win at LSU. So, but still favored. They have a very good chance to be there playing for a playoff spot. Vanderbilt, they will not be favored at Alabama. They will not be favored at home against LSU. They will not be favored at Texas. So that's 3 right there. Now, I think Missouri, Auburn, and Kentucky at home, I don't know.
It'll be close.
Yeah, it's close.
They'll be favored against Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky, yes. But any of those three teams could beat them. But still, we're just going with favorite or not. So there's 3 games right there. So to me, then obviously you have to take care of those home games, which won't be easy. But the way they're playing, I can see it. Can you get 2 of the 3 between at Alabama, LSU? Or I'm sorry. Can you get 1 of the 3 at Alabama, LSU at home, at Texas?
Yeah.
If you can get 1 of those, take care of the other ones. I mean, it's a very difficult schedule. Then yeah, I mean you're.
But that kind of plays like
think about that possibility. It's not crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's still Bama, LSU, Texas, Missouri, Auburn to deal with before you get to the Tennessee game and Kentucky in there as well. Even though I think at this moment Vanderbilt would smoke Kentucky. That's just me. It's hard, but it's not impossible, right? Like, look, Alabama's got Georgia next week. I don't know how that's going to go. It's on the road. Alabama goes to Georgia on September the 27th.
Right before Vandy.
Right before Vandy. We'll see what that looks like. And I know that Alabama is trying to get back at Vanderbilt for having lost to them last year, and they're going to have their attention. It's not like Alabama's going to be sleepwalking against Vanderbilt. But I still, how good is Alabama? I think they're pretty good. I mean, I know that they're talented, right? And then, this past Saturday, I watched a lot of their game. It was like, wow, they're throwing the ball to Ryan Williams a lot. I'd probably keep doing that. Turns out that guy's pretty good. But, could they hang in there in a game with Alabama? I think so. I think they can hang in. On the road's a tough task to go to that place and win. LSU is more talented than Vanderbilt, right? And LSU, their defense looks really good. Maybe it gets to a point with Vanderbilt's offense that the defenses in this league just are too much for them and they slow them down. Didn't look that way the other night against South Carolina.
And it's not like they don't have dudes.
Yeah.
They got dudes.
So I think if you had this conversation before the year, I mean, heck, if I had this conversation before the year, I'd have laughed about it. Like, Vanderbilt's not getting to the Tennessee game with a chance to make the college football playoff. I mean, at that point, we didn't know Tennessee would get to the Vanderbilt game with, an offense that even resembles this. Yeah.
I would have picked neither of them.
It's again, there's a long way to go. In some ways, it's kind of laughable to have this conversation. But I thought about it yesterday. I was like, wouldn't it be fun? I mean, we talk so much about the Tennessee-Vanderbilt baseball rivalry and the trash talk and the fan bases. I mean, we've never had that in the Tennessee-Vanderbilt football rivalry. It's just been so lopsided. But how awesome would it be for a Tennessee-Vanderbilt game at the end of the year with really, really high stakes? I mean, something that most people probably didn't even think was possible. But I think it's possible, at least, this year.
Yeah, and look, I mean, even when Vanderbilt, they've had some success against Tennessee in stretches, but it was like the bigger issue in Knoxville was like, who's the next coach we're going to fire? A Butch, Pruitt. Yeah, can you actually have good games when they're both good? Can they both be good? That's just completely new territory. Again, Vanderbilt ranked in September, first time since 1956. So, look, it's not that crazy. It really isn't. And you look at, like you said, Bama, Georgia. That's the week before. So even if it's not a look ahead, how beat up they will be from playing Georgia, which is like this week, Tennessee, not bad to play UAB after that game. Vanderbilt gets Georgia State, they get Utah State. Hey, man, if they mess around and they're in a close game with one of them, then I'll reevaluate. I think they're going to blow them both out because I think that's how good they are. Then they get to Alabama. Then they get a week off before LSU comes in here. So they're you got to keep that in mind too. You get the 2 weeks, get the extra rest after Bama, and you get to gear up for that game. And I think that one might be just still hard for me to see them winning in Tuscaloosa or winning in Austin. But LSU here, given how LSU is struggling on offense with that extra time, I think that one might be the game that you get it. And it's like, man, hold on. November is going to be the most interesting November for Vanderbilt football in, I don't know, a century?
Yeah. So is it possible that Vanderbilt and Tennessee, when they play each other on November 29th, could basically be a win in your end game for the college football playoff? We'll take your thoughts on that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Throwing the question out there, could we see a Vanderbilt-Tennessee game in November with a playoff spot on the line? H-Man on Twitter, X, says, I said the same thing and then realized how crazy it was to hear it out loud. It is possible that game is a win and you're in the playoff spot. It's nuts to think about. Still a long way to go for both teams, but it is possible. Joe, what's the reaction on the text line that you are manning here?
One thing that is definitely there is a Tennessee fan dismissal, like real urge to dismiss Vanderbilt, which makes me think just a little bit, that not that Vanderbilt's like in your heads, but like that it's annoying to you. I mean, let's face it, if you're a Tennessee fan, you're not used to anyone giving a crap about any other college football team in the state, right? It's just Vanderbilt's just a joke. You call them candy. So there is some of that, but also, let's see. Texture says, let's hype up the Tennessee Volunteerables.
Needs work.
But heaven forbid we mention that Cam Ward is actually good. Shake my head. Okay. I mean,
what does that mean?
I don't know. Apparently we have to be
Cam
Ward is the greatest quarterback of all time. I mean, we've said he's made some tremendous throws. You can see the talent.
He's thrown for less than 300 yards in 2 games and has a 50.8% completion.
I don't need those facts. But let's watch that replay.
Again, I really like what I've seen from Cam
play.
Ward, but there are some Titans fans that have somehow convinced themselves through these first 2 starts that he is like winning 5 Super Bowls. And it's like, well, can we see a little bit more of a body of work?
Yeah. I mean, just please. I do have a Jesus fan on YouTube says
we go down to Jesus fan on Yahoo.
Says chances Diego gets an invite to New York City for Heisman. We did talk earlier about how Pavia and Aguilar right now should be considered, but
there's a long list right now, but those 2 have got to be on it.
Yeah. Now, and I just responded to him. I said, Vandy, to me, he's not going to have insane numbers. He doesn't already, right? Like he's going to have a lot of games. It's almost like Jalen Hurts with the Eagles. Like Jalen Hurts will throw for like 160. He'll run for like 52, but he'll just be in command of the game. And he was great. And then you look at the numbers like,
Right.
And that's the same thing with Pavia. Like he's not going to have some absurd 3,000-yard passing season. So Vanderbilt would need to go 10-2 to me. And he would need to have some insane plays in a win over Bama, in a win over LSU, whatever.
I agree.
So the chances, they're not great, but right now he should be mentioned with anybody. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's really early. So, this time a month from now, things are going to separate a little bit.
We might laugh at ourselves.
But look, by the time we get to the Tennessee Vanderbilt game, the whole conversation is going to look a lot different in terms of who's on the Heisman list. I mean, look, maybe Vanderbilt battles their way through and they're in a spot where that really means if they win the Tennessee game, they're in the college football playoff. I mean, to me, think about that. And stop and think about that for a second. It's they've never approached anything like that.
Right.
And to be having that conversation, if it gets to that point, which I agree with the formula you laid out, they're going to be 5-0. Can you get one of Alabama, Texas, and LSU and then take care of your business against everybody else? If you can do that, you're going to have a shot in that Tennessee game to get it. And
then there's other things too. For both of these teams, look, some people think this year there's going to be, it's more, there's just more, I guess, parity. So there's going to be more 3-loss teams that could actually be in it, have a chance. We'll see. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But for Vanderbilt, you need South Carolina to get their crap together.
Yes.
And yes, people will always point back and say Sellers got hurt. But again, you were winning that game. And the story of that game was your offense destroying their defense. Tennessee, I think Georgia's going to be just fine. But if you're Tennessee, Georgia, go ahead. Be Georgia now. Go ahead and be Georgia the rest of the year, please.
Yeah.
So the text line is now locking me out too. We are locked out of the show.
Let's head back to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Eli to the program. Eli, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, fellas. I hope we're having a great Tuesday today.
So far, so good.
So, question for you. I've been a Vanderbilt fan my whole life, and I've never had this kind of success during football season. And, I got a whole lot of people talking crap to me saying it's all up the side. South Carolina is the fakest number 11 team ever. But they're number 11 regardless, and we beat them 31-7. And now we're projected to maybe be in the playoffs. What do I tell to all these detractors?
Yeah, thanks for the call. Yep. Well, I would say this.
I wanted to ask him if the detractors are Vols fans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I would imagine there's probably
at least in some cases. Yeah.
Look, I would say this. If you're a Vanderbilt fan right now, just enjoy it, man. Like it's kind of the same message I had after the Alabama game last year, which is, sit back, especially like those Vanderbilt fans that have been around for a long time, that are like long suffering and have sat through just the absolute year after year slog of watching that football team. Like they're not only are they winning, which is the main thing, they're also fun to watch. It's a good combo, right? Like it's being fun to watch and winning games.
It's the opposite of the Tennessee Titans.
It's really refreshing to watch them play out there. So enjoy it. And look, in all seriousness, like, I'm letting my mind wander about Tennessee Vanderbilt playoff winning in. There's still a long way to go this year before we start talking about college football playoff for either one of these teams, whether it's Tennessee or Vanderbilt. There's a long way to go here. But the fact that they have played to a level where you don't just immediately laugh it off, I think is a testament to what they've been able to put together so far.
Agree. And also, I love the question from Eli because it's like, oh my God,
people are talking trash.
I've never experienced this. People are like going out of their way to, say my team isn't really that good. Whereas in the past, it would just be this sort of like, and then there's Vandy.
Yeah.
And now it's like, that's a great thing. That's the whole SEC, right? Y'all ain't played anybody. I mean, that's you are now in the mix. You're respectable. So I don't know how to handle it. Just enjoy it. Like you said, like this is, you only get this if you actually have a team that's worth people, trying to knock down.
Yeah. And look, let's say they take care of their business next two games, they get to 5-0. I'm not saying you're playing with house money, because if you ask Clark Lee and Diego Pavia, and look, Pavia made the media rounds before the season and started talking about national championships, and everybody was like, okay, man. Yeah. Okay. And I still think the idea of Vanderbilt winning the national championship, it's just like, I think we're still a long way away from that. But if you could get yourself by season, if they're going into that Kentucky game on November 22nd and they've navigated their way through, the Bamas and the Texases and LSUs and Auburns of the world, and they're still technically alive for the college football playoff heading into the Kentucky game, much less the next week against Tennessee. What a story that'll be around here. Think about what we'll be talking about at that point.
It's the biggest story in the sport. It's one of the biggest stories in sports. So, yeah. And I was with that. Like when Pavia, I was like, yeah, just maybe tone it down a little, man. The bottom line is they've gone on the road to two legit environments against teams that have a legit talent. And let me do some math. 75-27.
Right. And I know people are gonna brush aside the Virginia Tech thing because they're awful and they got smoked the next week and they fired their coach. But still,
I could argue that Vandy broke them. I saw Virginia Tech play South Carolina tough. Now, again, then you could also be like, well, okay, so maybe Virginia Tech and South Carolina both suck.
Yeah.
And so does Vandy. It's possible.
There's still a lot more information to gather.
A lot more to learn, but this is different. And it's even different from, I know they beat Bama last year, but this team is they can match up front with teams. And that's, I think this team would handle last year's Vanderbilt team.
I agree. 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. We'll get more of your thoughts on the Vanderbilt-Tennessee discussion, plus some final thoughts on the Titans front to get to as well. All that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in. Final segment of the day. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
I think we need to tie up some loose ends, Robby. So first of all, I want to go to if I can find it. See, it's so bad. Yeah, Jack on the text line I've been going back and forth with him about, well, maybe it's time to admit that Joe Burrow isn't good. I'm like, well, that's stupid.
That's a take.
And he says, are you sure? I said, yes. You watch football? He said, since 1967. I know good when I see it, and he isn't that. Jackson, stop watching football.
I mean, look, he gets hurt too much. That's a problem. But if your takeaway when you watch Joe Burrow play is that he's not good,
it's a tough one. Also, we got a lot of Colts fans talking trash.
Yeah, we're going to get a lot of that this week.
And, I feel like even if it's not like Colts-Titans week, we usually have a fair amount. And Andy Ben has kind of been conspicuously absent.
Can't wait to see that this week.
Oh, my goodness. I can't wait. Yeah, you sent me the Broncos one. They get off their high horse. Yeah. And he was right.
They did it.
They did get off their high horse.
Yeah.
But Ben on the YouTube chat is just all over it, about how we're not talking. What's the narrative now? And it's like, I don't know. Just they're 2-0, man. Good for you.
Look,
I mean, I think they'll beat the Titans too. I don't think the Colts are going to make the playoffs. So, I mean, I'm sorry if you walk away 3-0. I still don't think so. So if that bothers you, then you should listen to Indie Sports Radio. But it's been a heck of a start. No punts.
The Tennessee Titans are going to beat the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday. You heard it here first.
Oh, my goodness.
You heard it here first. I'm not even waiting until Pigskin pick them on Friday. The Tennessee Titans are going to beat the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday to capture their first win of the season.
Okay.
You don't seem very confident.
I'm not saying the same thing.
The Colts 3-0 sounds a little bit.
It's now. Yeah.
Yeah, that NFL somehow always usually finds a way to bring you back.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Colts, they've had a great start.
Tighten up.
But are they really 3-0 good?
That is a fair question. This would absolutely be it lines up.
Brian Callahan in need of a big win. Cam Ward needs some results out there from what I think has been a decent start to his career. Titans are at home. The Titans are winning on Sunday against the Indianapolis Colts.
Shut the man door and get out of town.
Dan
Indy.
Moore, you're going to do a better job of getting in the way of someone out there.
Maybe
stick a leg out.
He'll be a more sound and sturdy man door, is what you're telling me.
Yeah. He'll be Dan less
middle.
What's less than more? What's less than
between less and more?
Yeah.
What is between less and more? Dan
nothing.
Dan
Dan meh.
Dan meh.
He's Dan meh.
Dan meh. Dan meh would be fine. That'd be fine. Stop being an open man.
You heard it here first.
Okay.
The Tennessee Titans will pick up their first victory of the year.
Were you planning to do that all under? That just struck you in the moment.
No, I was going to pick them this week.
But I mean, just the declaration on the Tuesday.
No, that just kind of struck me. Yeah. I figured it was time.
These
Nashville
Colts fans.
Look, we were talking to Gentry earlier. This team needs some hope. This city needs some hope. You watch Vanderbilt play, you watch Tennessee play, and it's like, well, you know what? It's entertaining college football. It's fun to watch. You don't leave it just totally dreading your life every time. It's been a long time since we felt that way about watching the Tennessee Titans. What better way to get that kick started, Joe, than to take on your divisional rival at home with dozens in the stands and to get a nice victory later this week? It's happening. They're going to win on Sunday. Clip it.
All right. I love it, man. I love it. We will not, I mean, I won't join you in that, but we will be monitoring that. Alex says, Dan enough. How about Dan enough?
That's not bad.
That's fine.
Yeah, he's enough.
Dan, Dan meh, Dan enough. That'd be fine.
Yeah.
Dan enough. Kind of like Knuff.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Nice.
We also.
What's the line in this game?
We were just talking about that. What is it? Colts by 3.
Colts by 3. Makes sense.
Will it be a Callahan special if the Titans win? That's I got
a
question from Wes.
I don't know what that is. What is a Callahan special?
Right now,
that's part of the problem here. I can't define to you what that is.
Well, it's not good.
3.5. Yeah. ESPN bet.
When you're 3-19, the Callahan special does not represent anything positive. By the way, I sent Vrabel his little running picture this morning, so he was excited.
He seemed to enjoy it.
Yeah. He responded, so maybe he'll come on the show soon. I think we'll get him on the show soon.
Did he tell us he was coming on?
Yeah, maybe I'll come
not.
on. Yeah. Man. Someday. That week of if they beat the Titans, can he just come on for like 5 minutes to talk trash? Would that be asking would that be asking too much?
I'm sure the city would love it. Yeah, just come on.
Phil in Kentucky says a man door will only be slightly ajar on Sunday. That'd be fine. That'd be a difference than just the wind blowing through the entire house.
That man door's jammed, baby. It's not going anywhere on Sunday. Come on, Titans. Let's go.
All right. I like this. I like this declaration.
Look, I don't know how many more times this year I'm going to be able to pick the Titans with a straight face. This I got it. They're winning Sunday.
You know, like I did watch most of the Colts-Broncos game, and I was impressed. Jonathan Taylor is a stud.
Yeah.
They have pretty good receivers. I mean, they don't have a bad roster.
Look, people are anointing Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that's the guy. That's where it comes from.
I'm waiting for a nice pumpkin performance from him at some point. He just turns right back into it.
Yeah. I mean, look, maybe he's Darnold or whatever, right? And he's going to take it from here and it's just going to be a different type of player. But I'm with you. I think a regression game for him is on tap. All right, what do you have?
I got a winner for what I'm looking for from Dan Moore on Sunday from my dad. Denadequate. Now we're talking.
Well done. There we go.
Denadequate.
I like it. By the way, another loose end I just have to take up real quick is Stilly texting me saying Nico's a grown man. Stop blaming the agent and the dad. Okay, so do you think that he acted independently?
No.
I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that that's what actually happened. You know, I know that you went, I want to yell at a kid. I love yelling at kids. But sometimes it actually is other people. And often with college kids, they have parents and agents and or who screw things up for them.
Felt like old times right there.
Thank you.
That does it for us today here on the program. We will be back 6 a.m. tomorrow. Paul Kuharski with us on the program tomorrow. We got a lot of things on the Titans front to get into with him. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman is coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.